Okay, members and friends, I know I don't look any different than the last time you seen me because I'm paperwork, driving around, answering phones. Anyway, today, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, kind of late, don't you think? I had legal aid phone me and inform me that the Ministry of Children and Family Development, I specifically asked what ministry, and the legal aid, personnel said it was the Ministry of Children and Family Development. I don't know how the Ministry of Children and Family Development approves legal aid, whether you get it or not, but they do. They hold all the cards, this agency. Like, this is just, like, I do believe it because it's happening to me. Okay, so I gotta stop saying that. First of all right, let's get back on track. So, okay, I'm not allowed a lawyer because he was apprehended from my care, even though I never got anything in writing officially to say that he was in my care. I never got paid. I never even got a thank you note. Just like when he was born. They said, you keep an eye on him as best as you can, but we're going to give all the authority to your sick daughter, who we know is sick. It's documented with her blood tests and hair and all this other crap. We know her lifestyle for the last 12 years. We know what meth does to the brain. We know it eats holes in the brain. We know it eats up their teeth because my daughter's teeth are all falling out. We know that their bones start to deteriorate. We know that they're irrational. We know that they get hostile. We know what meth does. Well, she was a meth addict for like over 6 years. And then she twisted over to heroin. She never injected. She never was a heroin injector until after she got kicked out of here right around Christmas time, because the people she was staying with were doing something to her when she was sleeping. She called me up, wanted to meet me at the welfare office. This was not this welfare, but the one around, Christmas time, right? 21st of December or something. And she was like this. When I walked into the office, like waiting for her, she had to sign something or something, right? Because, with all this running around, neither her or I got our stubs in, so we had to drop off stubs, and so I'm like, oh my God, and I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? And I could see, like, little marks on her. Anyway, point is, from that point forward, from December 21st, they kicked her out on the 11th of December. She never injected once in her life. She was very proud not to be a heroin and, drug user with the needle, right? But under the circumstances where she ended up and how she ended up and, and with no reason, absolutely nothing, these people were doing something to her when she was sleeping, and she was expressing concern that they were trying to poison her. And, through her days of, not receiving methadone and just the grief of what happened and the reality of being kicked out and not having the support of her family, they somehow got her to use the needle. She's 26. So she was a heroin addict for a few years, and then she went on methadone for the last 2.5 years. A couple times she fell off the wagon for whatever reason, mainly because of her boyfriend. He'd come and go, and, finally we'd get rid of him for a while, or he'd go to jail. If he went to jail, she was at peace, happy, everything was good. As soon as he'd get out, he'd start creeping around, and, I had to move her upstairs one time just so he couldn't stalk her in the freaking basement. To protect her from him. My son charged him, right? Because, tried to scare him away. All this other stuff. But anyway, and they still want her to move out. And I'm like, she can't. You don't understand. This guy won't leave her alone. He'd be crawling through the fucking windows. And then everything mellowed out for a while. Over the summer, I did the park event. She was looking good. She was plump and happy, and, she had come a million miles. And then I did the little gig there with the little outside thing in front of that restaurant and the health food store in September, because the guy from the health food store wanted me to do something for the community. I said, well, my DJ equipment's out. We might as well just keep it out, and, we'll do a little sidewalk thing. And she was still looking good. I have videos of that. If she was doing drugs, even a little bit, I didn't know anything about it. I'm not some fucking dog. I can sniff it out. And then, November, I don't know what the hell was going on. And then all of a sudden, December just turned into a freaking nightmare, and it's just getting worse. And I'll tell you, this is black magic. This is evil shit that we're dealing with here. Pure, evil, black magic. Okay? But you don't step down from it. That's the first thing. Rule of thumb. You don't step down from black magic. Because it's not as strong as it thinks it is. It's evil. So anyway, I was denied a lawyer because the Ministry of Children and Family Development will not pay for it because it's in conflict of them apprehending the child from my care. That was never legally written down anywhere, and if it was, I never got a copy of it. This is all pinky swear shit. Based on the suppositions of the things that they're telling my daughter, that I'm non-compliant, combative, and our communications broke down. But yet I've got videos to prove that I bought the diaper wipes. I have the children's lunch. I have my grandchild's lunch kits. I got the pull-ups that the daycare wanted. I paid the $20 that I never got back to the daycare for my security check for my daughter to volunteer. Where did that money go? I never got a receipt. They took all my photocopies of my children's birth certificate, two of them, right? And health care card. Oh, well, we gave it back to Christina, the social worker. And here's a twist. I got a social worker calling up my house today. Oh, well, Mrs. Duncan coming home on Tuesday. That's tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, well, it would probably be better for her to come home on Saturday. This is the lady with all the tubes. The one with the IV and the oxygen tank and the feeding tube and all this other crap, right? The one that's dying. The one that costs taxpayers every 10 months $1 million. Not to factor in what she's costed the taxpayers for the last 40 fucking years of her life. Okay? And I'm like, look, you're a social worker. I'm really not too happy with social workers right now. I don't really want to talk to you that long, so let's keep it short, right? Because I'm trying to treat you as an individual, huh? Oh, well, who's going to be the main caregiver? Well, obviously me. And if I can't, well, how you going to manage? I said, well, I've got teenage daughters that are strong. They know Auntie Joan. If she needs to be walked to the bathroom, if I'm not available, she can do that because her husband sure in hell can't. I said, the only thing that I want is her prescription medication put in bubble packs with the understanding that I'm putting him up high so she can't lay up in bed and play with them for any circumstances. Because I don't, my dad doesn't like, oh, don't take another pill because it's not good for you, and then watching over her to see if she dies in her sleep because she took too many damn pills. I said, my dad doesn't need to worry about that. Give him a time when they need to be given to her, and he'll tell me the time because he's really good at that, and I'll take him and I'll give him to her. So, okay, whatever, we think, okay, well, I'll go talk to the team, and I'm like, okay, you go ahead and do that. But it's kind of coincidental that you should be bringing in this woman into my house with all her tubes and workers, right? Well, I've got the other social worker plotting against me with her team and going to court on Tuesday to find out I don't even qualify for a lawyer now. Like, doesn't it seem like a setup to you? It sure does to me. I'm going to smoke. I'll smoke myself to a grave. But that's fine. I've been smoking for almost 40 years. Anyway, the lady calls back, the one that's moving back home. And I said, look, I talked to your social worker. First thing that came out of her mouth, did you yell at her? I said, excuse me? Why are you being so condescending? Well, I asked her if you yelled at her. I said, well, what did she say? No. I said, well, why can't you just be grateful to come home and have a freaking bed and everybody freaking bend over backwards to give you what you need so you can have your last few breaths at home? Instead of trying to make me look like I'm some fucking villain here. Because what? I'm going to yell at her social worker? She woman is like 67 years old, hasn't contributed nothing in this society for fucking years, but yet she's got a social worker. Like, how does that make any sense? When the freaking provincial government damn well knows that she needs a care facility where they can hook her up to all her 50 million machines. Well, they taunt me on the other end with my grandchild and rub it in my face that, oh, well, you're not going to have a lawyer because we pay for that too. Since when does Ministry of Children Development pay for legal aid? Oh, right. We know how the BC Liberal Republican slash, conservative, whatever you want to fucking call it, government operates, right? Okay. So I'm supposed to go back to court. This is the advice from the lady from legal aid. I'm supposed to go jump in my car tomorrow morning, go back to the courthouse, go back to duty council, which I already did on Tuesday after they took my grandson. On the 16th, right? I went on the 16th. They took my grandson on the 15th, took my daughter to court because they told my daughter to go to court the next day. So I did that. And I went to duty council and they told me to go get a lawyer, to go to legal aid. So I did that too. And now I find out today I don't qualify. But the lady at the legal aid is telling me to go back to the courthouse, go to freaking duty council and request to put in some, I don't know. But I know what's going to happen when I go to duty council. They'll tell me to go back to legal aid. Or they just can't do nothing. Because I was already there. They're the ones that told me to go there. So I'm doing a solo on my own without a lawyer. Now the one lawyer that I'm sending emails to, through that recommendation through a friend of mine that has been having issues with social services for a very long time, with all her children practically. She recommended him. This guy's downtown somewhere. So it's totally coming in at arm's length, right? I sent him an email with one of my videos to let him know what I'm doing, because I don't have a voice. This is my only voice. And I just sent him 2 emails prior to talking to you, whoever's watching this, and we know these social workers are watching it, passing the notes and, passing the paper around and plotting their next fucking angle, right? Because my daughter in the car tonight, my 17-year-old, is wanting to quit school now to go to work full time, to pay for a lawyer. And I'm like, well, no, don't do that because they're going to take dollar for dollar off my welfare check, which is only $1,063 when they're not taking, child maintenance off that I get once in a blue moon for. One month I got $863 freaking dollars. No wonder why I'm still in debt. My credit cards went back up by moving into this freaking house for this old woman with all her tubes. That's why I moved into this house, because of this woman. She moved over from Victoria. She needed her own room with her husband so she could have a marriage. And I had to accommodate that on top of my own children. So it put me into a higher rent bracket. And I got stuck with all the work. And when you move into a house and it's got, issues or whatever, you're buying tarps, you're buying wood, you're buying tools, you just whatever. It's a house. You nails, right? Right? Just whatever. And it's 2 floors, 2 kitchens, 6 bedrooms. With everybody running around, gimme, gimme, gimme. I'm the one that cleared out a room. So I'm just going to wheel and deal. I just won't pay some bills. I got good credit, but doesn't mean anything. You can't go anywhere with it. So what if I don't pay a few bills for a little while? I'd rather pay a lawyer than pay a bill. I think my grandson's more important than a fucking bill that never gets down because I'm just, the economy is so crap. Right? And then they're going to cut me off of welfare just to financially break me. If they can't deny me of a lawyer, they're going to find another way. They already know that, the lady with the tubes is on the way out the door, so that's less income in the house. So how am I going to manage now? I'm already preparing my family to get ready to maybe move out. Now that she's dying, really this time, going out. I'm not required to live here anymore to accommodate her needs. I'm just left to pick up the broken pieces. Just like the taxpayers left to pay the $1 million healthcare tab. And that's on a lowball estimate. And that's only for the last year. Remember that. 40 years of mental illness, mental institutions, shock therapy, psychiatrist for 40 fucking years. Just a psychiatrist alone is enough to break the bank. Well, my daughter qualifies for nothing. And she has the emotional mentality of an 8-year-old sometimes. And it takes her a long time to get to a level of where she's even functioning at an adult level. And a lot of patience on my part. And sometimes I have to stand up to her. But we got her through, and she came a long way, and now she's using the needle thanks to social services. And this lady at Legal Aid said, well, they want you to call them. I said, call them? Why would I call them? To make an arrangement for what? You already took them out of my home. You're denying me access to a lawyer. Why would I call? I want my grandson back. That's the only thing I want. You people are evil. And I'm going to call it for what it is. And you can sit up there and you can convince yourself that I'm the crazy one, just like you tried to tell my 17-year-old that I was crazy when she wanted independent living because her native friend, like I said in the prior video, you know, was such a bad kid and she got independent living, but my kid couldn't understand why she couldn't get it. And that's because social services doesn't want to give the money to the teens. They're more interested in giving that money to the middle-class family to supplement those incomes so that they can raise those little monkey babies that they steal. Think on that one. My grandson's 28 months old. He's a baby. He's cute. He's easy to manage, with or without dope. And he's trainable. Everything that you would want from a monkey. But not a combative, opinionated, highly intelligent, intellectual 17-year-old that's willing to give you a debate. They're not interested in those kids because they left her here. But they sure in the hell came in and took my grandson, and now they're trying to make it very, 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 very hard for me to get him back. So, I was denied a lawyer today because the ministry doesn't want to pay for it. Ministry of Children and Family Development. Isn't that a conflict of interest?